Okay, so we are live. We are live. We are live. Oh man, what a game tonight. This was a disappointing game. A game we should have got. Um, by the way, it's just me tonight. King's under the weather tonight, so he was not able to hop on, but it's just gonna be us tonight. But what a game, man. Disappointing loss, man. I just kind of want to go over a few things before we really get into the meat of it. But I'm gonna give a minute for everybody to come in, and just kind of get our thoughts together. I have a lot of things I want to talk about when it comes to this game tonight. Um, but it's a young team, man. It's a young team. I'm already seeing some comments um, talking about some of the things that I'm looking at talking about too tonight with this game because this is definitely a game Pistons had a shot to get, and it's disappointing that when you're in the game, pretty much controlling the game for a large portion of it, and all of a sudden, you got to go down the stretch. So that's the disappointing thing. I think that I came away with tonight. But we'll get into it. But so let's just talk about it, man. Let's talk about what happened tonight. First thing I want to do is get into just what we all saw tonight from this game. So Pistons lost. Tough game. Tough road game tonight to the Cavs. In a game that went down to the wire. Let's start with the good things. There were some good things tonight. Pistons had 7 players in double figures, right? Which is a good thing. We don't see that too often with our Pistons, but we had 7 guys in double figures, which is a balanced scoring attack, which is what we like. Um, you can see that the Pistons are starting to figure some things out, right? You can see that we're going through the growing pains of this young team, right? And every night we're going to see the result and not benefit, but that kind of manifests itself every single night. Whether it be turnovers, missed assignments, whatever it is, we're going to see it every night. But you can start to see the guys are beginning to understand what they're supposed to be doing on both sides of the ball. You can see, and as a result of that, you can see effort. You can see guys are trying harder. You can see guys are hustling back on defense. You know what I'm saying? For tonight, most of the game, when they would get a rebound, I would see all 5 guys trying to at least hustle down the court to get back on defense, and that means that they're beginning to believe and buy in to what it is they're doing, and they're believing in each other. So that was one of the positives I took away from tonight. Um, and really, honestly, it just came down to what me and King have been saying forever. We've been clamoring for this for months. It's just compete, 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 and develop chemistry. And it seems like guys are beginning to understand that. The offensive schemes, defensive schemes, and they're buying in. But what killed them tonight is what has killed them all season long. Turnovers, man. Turnovers. Every single game. We had 16 tonight, which is actually less than what we've had for a big portion of our games. But those 16 turnovers led to 29 points for them. I mean, if you just take a third of that out, we win this game. They only had 9 turnovers, and that's the difference. That's the difference between an experienced team and a team that has some familiarity versus a team that is young and hasn't played together much. So that's going to happen. Not too surprised by it, but that was the result of what happened tonight. It's just carelessness with the basketball, man. You can't do that. There was a play tonight where Darius Garland inbound play. If I think it was from Duran to Ivy, Darius Garland snuck behind him and stole the ball and laid it up. On the very next play, it almost happened again. He came in again, and the ball is inbounded the same exact way, and he almost inbounded and he almost stole it again. So it's like you gotta lock in, man. You gotta lock in. You have to lock in and not be so careless and lackadaisical with the basketball. You just can't do it. That really bothered me tonight. It's just seeing that type of just lack of focus and just carelessness. Like you can't do that. So they were in the game from beginning to end, But one of the other things that stood out to me was Monty Williams not playing Asar Thompson. That I think somebody mentioned that earlier. Monty Williams not playing Asar Thompson. I would have had Asar Thompson on Donovan Mitchell every single minute that he was on the court. Every second that Donovan Mitchell's on the court, I got Asar Thompson on the court, period. Because there were times tonight, first of all, Donovan Mitchell finished with 39 points on 60+% shooting. He shot 14, I think it was 14 for 25 for 39. In the fourth quarter, he just got loose. He was just coming down, bucket after bucket after bucket after bucket after bucket. And I don't understand why SR Thompson just sitting on the bench. Like, this is why you got him. This is why you draft. I don't understand why he's not in the game. Like, in games like that, when it's down to the wire, when it's a tight game, every possession is key, is important. That's the kind of guy you want to have on it. It's not just all about shooting. It's possessions. Who can make the most of their possessions? And the thing about SR Thompson is he gives you extra possessions. Y'all saw it. The play tonight, he stole the ball, had a sweet spin move, and ran the floor and was pushing the ball. Y'all saw it. That's what we need him in the game for. So, I mean, and of course you could say, well, they might have just, ran a pick, or had a set of screen to get the action they wanted off of that. But if that's the case, then what you do is you blitz Donovan Mitchell. Get the ball out of his hands. Get the ball out of his hands. Blitz him. Make somebody else beat you, because nobody else was beating you. Nobody else was beating you in this game. It literally was Donovan Mitchell. If y'all watch Fresh Prince, y'all know the routine. Pass to Will. Pass to Will. Pass to Will. That's literally all they were doing. Pass Donovan Mitchell, get the hell out the way. That's all they were doing. So I don't know why Monty Williams waited so long to see that, or why he didn't see that, but everybody in the building saw it. Sometimes I just don't understand and I know he's not perfect, but come on, man. Like, that's easy to see. That's, if I can see it. So anyway, moving on. When it came to this game, how about Danilo Gallinari, man? Danilo Gallinari, man. So apparently, I thought Paul Gasol had came out of retirement tonight to play for the Pistons tonight, because the way he was playing, I won't say this. He looked like he was way out of shape. He looked the way he's lumbering up and down the court. He looked like he ain't been on a treadmill about 5-10 years. But he stretches that floor, right? He finished with 20 points in his first action, 4 for 4 from 3-point line. That's the kind of stuff we need. That's the kind of shooting threat we need, right? That should really help the Pistons spacing. And another player who should help with that, who got hurt tonight, with spacing, is Mike Muscala. He started tonight, and he started for Isaiah Stewart tonight, and he left the game, I think, in the second quarter. I think he had a head injury and he never came back. But his ability to stretch the floor was very evident, right? Cade and Jaden both had driving lanes whenever Muscala was on the floor with Jalen, Duran, and Bogdanovich, right? Even though, here's the thing, even though Stu is an improved 3-point shooter, I don't think he has done it consistently enough, long enough yet, to have a reputation of being a stretch four. Right, his 3-point percentage has increased year over year because of the work he's put in, but I don't think he's done it enough. Maybe it's because we're such a bad team and they don't care, but he hasn't developed a reputation yet as somebody you have to continuously pay attention to, and who you can't leave alone in the corner. He hasn't developed that yet. And I think with Muscala, a guy who's known as a 3-point threat, as a stretch four, you have a guy like Danilo, who actually plays some 5, as another stretch four. Right, they're known around the league as having that reputation because they've done it long enough, consistently enough. Stu hasn't done that yet, and as a result, that's why they're just packing the paint. Until you prove it to us, Stu. Right, that's what they're saying. Until you prove it to us for a long enough period of time, we're not going to defend you out there. They can't do that with Muscala and Gallinari because we've seen their body of work for years. That's what they do. That's exactly what they do. And that leads me to another point I wanted to make about tonight. I told you I had a lot I wanted to say tonight. When we saw Muscala start, and we saw him get hurt, and then we saw Gallinari replace him for the rest of the night, that told me that we may have seen the last of James Wiseman. Monty Williams, he seems to want bigs that can play alongside Jalen Duran, who can stretch the floor. Right, he seems to like guys who can play along with him and stretch the floor, which is the exact reason we were trying to turn Stu into a stretch four, because we know Duran is our 5 of the future. Now it's about getting guys who can complement our core foundational guys, which is why we were trying to make Stu into a stretch four. Having a guy like Muscala and Gallinari fixes that. They might not be the long-term solution, maybe not, but they can help with the short-term problems that we have now, which is spacing. So Wiseman not playing at all tonight told me that we may not see him unless there's an injury and somebody gets hurt. JD goes out and gets hurt. But when we move Marvin Bagley, who's not a 3-point shooter. When we moved him and we got Muscala and we got Gallinari, and now Wiseman isn't playing at all. I mean, that's telling me what I need to know about what Monty Williams is trying to do. So we'll see. But I don't think we're going to see James Wiseman anymore the rest of the season. And that's no shade to him. I just think that's what Monty Williams, the direction he's going in. He doesn't give you enough defense and rebounding to make up for his lack of shooting. This is something we talked about all season long. Wiseman is not a physical player. He doesn't seem to crave that physicality, if you understand what I'm saying. Like Duran, he loves physicality. He loves bodying. He loves banging, right? That's not something that Wiseman seems to want to do. And as a result, because he can't shoot as well, it doesn't seem to be a role for him on his team. So those are my thoughts on that. If you guys have any thoughts too, drop them down low. Let me know what y'all thinking. But those are my thoughts from this game so far. So let's move on to the next point I wanted to get to tonight. Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duran, two of our prized possessions, are headed to All-Star Weekend again for the second year in a row for the Rising Stars Challenge. Now, congrats to them. They deserve to be there. Happy for those guys. They definitely warrant going back for a second time as sophomores this year. And I'm looking forward to see what they do. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to make a prediction. My prediction for that game is that Jalen Duran is going to win the MVP of that game. Now, I say that because I think for those who can remember, Andre Drummond's first Rising Stars game. This is about, I think this was in 2011, I believe. 2012, something around there, 2013. And Andre Drummond literally grabbed every single rebound that was available and dunked every ball, put his armpits in the rim. Every single time he had the opportunity. It was like one of those games where it meant more to him than everybody else. And I think we may see that with JD. I think JD is going to come into that game looking to do exactly that. Dominate the boards, offensive rebounds galore, pick and roll action, lob threat, little midi here and there, but just dominating on the boards. That's what I see from Jalen Duran in that game. So looking forward to that. And that should be a great experience for them guys, just to get some exposure, just to get more exposure. They went last year, so they already know what to expect when they get there. But I'm looking forward to seeing our guys, on the national platform again, which we don't see too much of anymore, on a national platform representing for our Pistons. One player who did not make the Rising Stars, who we talked about earlier, is Asar Thompson. I don't know why Asar Thompson did not make this Rising Stars challenge. I think part of it is his lack of playing time and his lack of a role and how he's being used. I don't feel like he's being used properly. I think in the season he's averaging about 8.5 points, 6 rebounds, about a steal, few assists, block. Just pretty much utility guy. He's doing all that in about 23 minutes. Not having any plays drawn up for him. He's just doing the dirty work. He's just doing the little things. Playing great defense, turning defense into offense. Like I say all the time, his offense is going to come off his defense. Most of his offense right now is going to come off his defense. It's not going to be any design plays for Asar Thompson. He's not going to be shooting from long range consistently, right? He's still working on his offensive package. But defensively, is where I think he's going to make his money. And I think that kind of player will be something you want to see in the Rising Stars game. The dude is a freak athlete. Well, wouldn't you want to have a freak athlete who was a number 5 pick in your Rising Stars challenge? I just don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. But it's just more fuel for the tank for him to go a bit harder next year. I do think he was snubbed though. I do think he definitely should have made that game. I don't know what happened there. Okay. What else do we have? Let's talk about this. Will the Pistons finish with the worst record? Right? We talked about this all season long. Now that we've broken the streak, I think we can have a realistic conversation about if this is actually going to happen or not. And at this point, I say no. Because as of right now, I did a little math before tonight's game. I did a little bit of math, just trying to figure out what would need to happen, right? So we're 6-41, which is disgusting to say. 6-41. So that means we're 47 games in with 35 games remaining. 35. So in that 35 game span, we would need to, because the worst record of all time, we talked about this last time on the last stream. The worst record of all time is 9-73. Right? That's the worst record ever. 9-73. Or 9 wins. 9 wins. So if we get to 10, we avoid the worst record ever. Right? If we get to 10 wins, we avoid the worst record ever. So that means we need 4 more wins. 4 more wins to avoid the worst record ever. And so that basically means, as of right now, we would need to go 4-31 in the next 35 games to avoid the worst record ever. It's kind of sad that we're having a conversation about, like, we're having mathematical conversations about avoiding the worst record ever. That's kind of sad, but it is what it is, right? Eliminate, all eliminate right now. So yeah, got to go 4-31 in the next 35 to avoid the worst record ever. Based on how we're playing lately, we still have a long way to go as far as a developmental standpoint and the team standpoint. We have a long way to go, but we're not going to go 3-32. We're not going to go 3-32. We're going to at least get 7 or 8 more wins, I believe, before the season is over. I think we're going to get to about 14, 15 wins. I think late in the season, when after the post All-Star break, I think we're going to hit something of a nice little streak, maybe a 3-game winning streak, right? 4 if we're feeling lucky. But I think we're definitely going to avoid that. We're not going to have the worst record ever. We're not going to have the worst record ever. EV, what's good, bro? Yeah, man. We're not going to have the worst record ever, guys. Don't worry about that. But it's definitely something that we need to keep our eye on, because you never know what could happen. But yeah. So I think we'll be fine there. But we got a lot of things that we need to work on as a team. We just have a lot of things we need to work on as a team. And I think one of those things we need to work on is just learning how to finish games. Right? We do not know how to finish games. And that's something that has been an Achilles heel for us all season long. We were in this game for the whole game. Right? We were in this game from beginning to end. In the last 4 or 5 minutes, we talked about Donovan Mitchell and things like that, but the last 4 or 5 minutes, it seems like we didn't know what to do. It seems like we didn't know what to do. It seems like whenever adversity hits us, we just don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to regroup, right? And that's something that comes with experience and time and just being able to win games, as you continue to grow and build. But, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't think we're not gonna finish with the worst record. We're not. We're gonna get some wins. Let's get serious, bro. We're gonna get some wins. We're gonna be fine. We're not gonna finish with the worst record ever. Ace Boogie, we're not. We're not. Yeah, it's just tough, man. It's just tough. Like I said, the 16 turnovers is what really killed us. That's what really killed us, because it led to 29 points off turnovers. That's the difference in the game. That's literally the difference in the game. So it's a tough night, man. Tough night, tough game. I really thought the Pistons were going to get this game, because it seemed like every time they would, Cleveland come down to score, the Pistons would have an answer, right? And that's what you see oftentimes with teams that have played together. Like, for example, Denver or Milwaukee, not this year's Milwaukee, but previous years, Milwaukee or Boston or teams like that. In close games, Golden State is another one. In close games, they know how to finish they know how to close the game, especially on the road. They know how to win those road games because they've been there before. They've lost in those situations before. That's something the Pistons are lacking. They don't know what to go to. They don't know what to do in each situation because they haven't been in a lot of situations yet. Right? So that's something it's just a growing pain. It's going to come with time. It's crazy how much better this team looks with Bum Hayes not playing. I will say this, man. Monte Morris' offensive threat is what makes the difference, right? Killian Hayes is a better defensive player, but Monte Morris, he gets guys organized offensively. He gets guys organized, and he helps to keep guys settled down. And what I noticed about Monte Morris is that guys respect his shooting ability. They respect his ability to shoot the ball or his scoring ability. And one thing about Monte Morris is his assist to turnover ratio is second best in the league to Tyus Jones. I'll say it again. It's second best in the league So having Monte Morris on our team is really going to settle down the offense. And tonight, the bench was was so much better than the actual starting lineup was tonight. As far as plus minus, I'm gonna pull it up here and show you guys. It was I didn't realize how much of a disparity it was between the starting unit and the actual bench. Let me pull it up right now and we'll go over it real quick because this tripped me out. I didn't realize it was like that tonight. I've seen it like that in the past, but I didn't realize how much it was tonight. So yeah, plus minus. I'm just look at the starters. Bogey, -26. JD, -19. K, -22. Ivy, -21. Bench, Gallinari, +13. Sir Thompson, +19. Knox, +4. Monte Morris, +16. Burks, +2. Sasser was the only one on the bench who played tonight who was not a plus. And he was a -1. And nobody in our starting lineup was a plus. The best was Mike Muscala at 0. And he only played 4 minutes. So this was not an easy game to watch tonight. We should have won this game. We obviously should have won this game tonight. Bogey is our clutch player, not Cade. I don't like the hero ball thing. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like all this one. We said it before. We're always talking about this half-second offense. Like I do see guys. I see more cutting. I see guys, running different actions, but I'm not seeing the ball move the way. And maybe it's just because it's still early. But it's way too much ISO ball. Way too much ISO ball. I think right now Bogey is he's definitely a more polished scorer than Cade is. He's more polished. He's more polished. And I think because he's played long enough, he understands how to get to what he wants to get to better. I think that's the difference. I think Cade he's not there yet. He's not there to be able to come down like how Donovan Mitchell was tonight, just bucket, bucket, bucket. He's not there yet. He's not there yet. But I think in time you'll see that shift from Bogey to Cade as becoming the guy offensively. I think it'll happen eventually. Morris is a legit player. I don't even think Cade is a good defender. It's just he is so bad everywhere that his average D is overrated. He is slightly better than Morris defensively. I think that's fair. I think when Killian came into the league, he realized that he may not have been the offensive player that he may have thought he was going to be. I think when he first came in, I think it was a little bit of, confidence there, cockiness there, which is normal. Like, yeah, I'm going to come in and dominate. But I think once he saw how athletic everybody was and that he couldn't just blow by or he couldn't just dance and do things like that to get to where he wanted to get to, that he said, maybe this is not who I'm going to be in this league. And I think that's big of anybody to do. When you everybody is the guy coming overseas into the league and coming out of whatever college or whatever it is into the NBA. So for him to have that real moment with himself, or whoever had it with him, that says something about him. But I think that is something that he has focused on because he's not the offensive guy that he thought he was going to be. Let's see. Morris is. There we go. There we go. What's going on, Vinny?
What up, though? What's happening, dudes? How you doing, man?
Oh, smooth, bro. Smooth, man. Good to have you on.
Where's my man's at? I'm not used to seeing a one-man band. What's going on, man?
Man, I'm not either, bro. I'm not either, man. Yeah, he's I guess he fell under the weather tonight, so he had to go take care of some stuff. So I'm trying to hold it down myself.
Another late game collapse would probably do that to you. So shout out to King, man. Hope you do it all right.
Man, let's talk about it, bro. Give me your thoughts, man, on tonight's game. What's up, man? What did we watch tonight?
On one hand, man, you can kind of be happy with some things that we saw. Like, I do think that there was some good adjustments that I liked. I like seeing the bench coming out. I think the resurgence of Burks has been pretty helpful for this team with the competitive they've been. Seeing Ivy get a better role. Like, I'm seeing things that I'm appreciating with this team, but it's the same damn thing every time, bro. Late game collapses. And to me, it seems like it's falling on coaching more than it is the players. Like, these are young pieces, and I don't know how many times Monty Williams needs to see somebody rolling, like Damian Lillard going on for 30 plus, and you don't try to trap him. Same thing tonight. Donovan going for 45, and you leave Asar on the bench while you leaving Alec Burks in the game to make rookie mistakes the whole time. Like, that can't slide. And it seems like Monty just game after game after game keeps letting these mistakes happen. And it's really shown as a hindrance for this team, bro. It is so frustrating to watch every night, I swear.
Bro, I'm getting to a point where it's like, and I'm not even being hyperbolic or tongue in cheek, but he seems checked out, bro. He seems like he's doing his best to earn his money because he wants to be professional about his business, but he don't seem invested, bro. Like you mentioned the start point. Even for because I was trying to play Angel's advocate and figure out, okay, let me come to his defense. And
right.
You know what I'm saying? Let me see and think about why he may have done that. I'll say, okay, well, what if they would have tried to just switch the action and get somebody? Okay, but the thing about that, okay, then blitz him. Get the ball out of his hands. I'm going to make somebody else beat me, period. So even for those who were, because I think somebody mentioned that, well, they could have just switched the action and got us off him and maybe got JD or whoever else was the big was a determinant on him. Switch, okay, then blitz him. Just blitz him. Get the ball out of his hands. If you do that, you make somebody else, like I would rather anybody else make your boy Mobley beat me. That's, you know. That's your favorite player.
Baby AD, is that who we talking about? Dude who's on the bench on the fourth quarter, that same guy.
Man, yeah, infant AD. Infant AD. Yeah, I don't see it with him. I've never ever seen it with him. When we were talking about when we won the lottery, and they were saying, oh, well, it might be Cade or Jalen Green or Evan Mobley. I was like, bro, if it comes down to if for whatever reason we decide not to get Cade, please just take Jalen Green and don't take Evan. Do not take Scotty Barnes for him. I don't care. Just don't take Evan Mobley.
You had the funniest comp. You was on Twitter. You talking about I see his ceiling as Hassan Whiteside. You know who mine was for him? You know who mine was, bro?
Ooh.
Tristan Thompson. That's honestly what I saw from dude. Like he is a valuable player. I'm not gonna act like he's garbage, but like Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan comps, like what are we doing, bro? Like just too much gassing for him.
Bro, like to me, Jalen Duren is already way better than him.
I have a hard time disagreeing with that.
Already.
His work is better. You know, he's stronger in the paint. I've never seen him get bullied out like he did against the Knicks last season. But back to your point on Monty, to shoot him a little bit of bail, I ain't gonna lie. Like, of course, coming into the season with one of the youngest teams in the NBA, it wasn't gonna be easy for him. But it's so puzzling to see him stand in his own way for so long. Like, how do you go 30 games and say, okay, now I'll sit Killian Hayes?
Right.
Like, how do you not look at Jaden Ivey getting to the free throw line, making hustle plays? He's been super active with offensive rebounds and getting tip backs in the paint as a 6'5" guard. Like, there's value in that. And it took you so long to realize that, while fans and everybody else watching is saying, that's what you need to be doing. And he seems to be standing in his own way. So, I don't know. Like, it's hard to argue to say he don't look checked out because, I mean, someone made a good an argument on the Twitter space for the Pistons earlier. They're saying, like, these young guys that came in that are getting hired, they're up here coaching to preserve opportunities. Monty got money stacked up. He got a resume already, been to the finals. Like, he's done a lot at this point. And it does kind of question at this point of what his motivation is because it's very obvious when you watch it.
Yeah, and that's one thing that me and King were saying, and this is not a bash Monty stream. This is not that, but we're just talking about everything. This is one of the things that we have to address because look what happened tonight, right? And so when he first had his press conference, his presser, and they asked him why he wanted to come here, and one of the first things, and it's one of those things where it's like when keeping it real goes wrong, because he was just straight up like the money, and as true as that might be, there's just some things you can't say.
You don't say that
publicly.
You don't.
Your first day on the job. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, first impressions are everything. We understand that. That's not a good one. No. It's not a good one. And I'm happy for his sake that he's able to do what he needs to do to take care of his family. You know, his wife and things like that. The private jet, all that. On a personal level, I'm all for it. Like, pay that man. Give him whatever he wants. But when it comes to our basketball team, I just want to see results.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's and we're not really seeing that.
That's it. So yeah, let me ask you. I mean, we kind of been bouncing back and forth with it and stuff. So what do you see like the biggest downfall or mistake being? Is it a coaching thing right now? Is it the players, or do you think it's just like a setup of the roster at this point? Like I feel like it could be all
I think it's two of those three.
Okay.
I think it's two of those three. I think it's the coaching and I think it's the roster.
Yeah.
I think the roster it makes a little bit more sense now because of the trade we just made from Muscala and Gallinari. You saw tonight, you saw the difference with the driving lane and everything. Right. But I think that and the coaching, you mentioned it as far as the change at guard, 30 games into the season, and the other guard in and out of the lineup every other game, every other week. And Jaden Ivey, it's like, what are we doing? Like, we knew it, we said it, So I think those two things. And for me personally, I will say this: it does seem like Jaden Ivey is beginning to understand defensively more of what is going on. He understands where he's supposed to be, and as a result, he's more active. Yep. But when he was getting shuffled in and out of the starting lineup, bro, his defense was not that much drastic of a drop than everybody else's to where you do that to him.
Exactly.
That was my only point. Like, if he's not defensively where he needs to be, fine. Nobody else is either.
Mm-hmm.
So why is he the only one? Unless the gap is like this, why is he the only one getting treated as if the gap is like this? You know what I'm saying? So I think those are the two biggest things: is the coaching, like you mentioned, and then just the roster construction. The two of those things, it just doesn't make sense to me.
He's on the same path of what I'm seeing. Like the guys, whether it's, even though I think he's getting kind of treated unfair. Well, both of them, honestly, like, because the biggest problem with the young guys right now is turnovers and fouls. Fouls, personally, I think they're just getting a bad, unfair whistle. I've never seen a dog get elbowed by Karis LeVert, bleed from the face, and refs calling a foul on the defender. How many times have we seen Cade or Dern or any of the other young guys, Asar the same way, get ran into by the dribbler or by the guy with the ball, and they call a foul on the defender? It's too much of that. But there is a lot of times like Cade got to work on not jumping for everything and not lunging or landing in the landing spot. So that's an issue that Ivey's had to pick up and work on. But he's gotten better. What you said is 100% right, though. I don't think he's that far away from the other young guys in terms of what they're doing. And it just seems like Monty's not holding them all to the same standard. And that's where my issue lies with this. Right. That I think what you hit it on the head. I think he was kind of like the easy target. Right. In a sense. You know what I mean? Jaden is a soft-spoken guy, man. Like, he's gonna do whatever you ask him to do. Yep. Like I know that kid, man. Like he's like on the court, he's a fireball. Like he's Tasmanian devil on the court. Off the court, totally different cat. Mm-hmm. Real soft-spoken, real shy, respectful, polite. You know what I'm saying? So it just seemed like he was kind of picked on to me. Right. It didn't make sense as to why. It's like I got to make this change to kind of submit what I'm doing here. Here he is. Yeah, that's where I'm going to start. That's kind of what it felt like to me. I just, not saying that's what it was. I don't know his intent, but it just didn't measure up to the performance. And that's one of my favorite things, not favorite things, but that's one thing I give Ivey so much credit for, because for a young player, obviously learning the game of basketball, transitioning to being a pro at this point, it means a lot. But going through the mental gymnastics he's probably had to go through at this point, like you said, coming off the bench, getting yanked, playing 15 minutes, then going to 30, then dealing with injuries and having to play 30, or getting benched for a whole second half, for a whole fourth quarter. Like, that's got to be taxing, especially when you came in here excited and with the expectations of being a big focal point of this franchise. So he deserves a lot of credit for that, man. I don't know how he's done it thus far. No, that's a great point. That's a great point, because to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, that was one of the first things he said when he was asked about Monty Williams. He said, I am blessed. Yes. To have him as a coach. He was getting choked up, bro. I remember that. Yeah. So I know it had to be a hell of a 180 to go from feeling like that to then dealing with all the stuff. He probably had no idea what he was getting into, in the sense of what he was going to have to deal with. So whatever the reason is, maybe they met halfway. I don't know. But whatever the reason is, I'm glad that he's apparently out of whatever doghouse he was in, and he's now getting the minutes he deserves so he can get the reps he needs so he can become a better player. That's it for me.
Like,
breaks my heart because who knows what he could have been at this point. Like all these mistakes he's making now, he could have been doing in the first 15 games if you just let him start and play next to Cade. Maybe he irons it out by now. Then maybe he's a 17, 18, 19 point scorer. Like who knows? Like he has that ability. He gets to the free throw line well. Defenders cannot stay in front of him. I think his catching and shooting is getting a little bit better too. He's getting more and more comfortable.
Right.
So yeah, is he standing in his own way? Monty standing in his own way in the development of these guys, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, and where are we going this year?
Nowhere.
I don't understand. Okay, so you're not going to playoffs. That's a reason to start a young guy and let him make mistakes. Exactly. Your job is not in jeopardy. Another reason for you to not be afraid to put a guy in and make, like, I don't understand. There's no reason for me to not play him.
Right.
You're not trying to fight for the playoffs. Your job isn't in jeopardy. There's literally nothing holding, you know what I mean? There's nothing holding you back from playing these guys. And we were all talking about, let's see Cade and Ivy. How do they look together? We don't ever see them play yada yada yada. What do we do? Like, how much more gift wrapped of a situation does it have to be for you to just play him? Everything points to it.
and the fan frustration, I mean, I'm seeing it in the comments, and it's all justified and warranted because the image that the front office and the coaching staff sold to start the year was, Troy said it. He said, I want this team to be playing meaningful games by the end of the season. And that's a fair barometer, no matter what that means. You could be in the 10th spot, the 11th spot, fighting for that playing, whatever.
Yeah.
Now you're just barely scratching watchability.
Right.
And that's a scary place to be. And I'm sitting here watching them when they start off the season. You play Burks, you start off the veterans, like, okay, I get it. You want to win, maybe try it out, cool. You want a losing skid and you stick it with the same mentality. How long did it take for him to not start Isaiah Livers or to sit down Killian Hayes? Like, and now coming into this trade deadline, I have no idea if this team is even interested in making a move. That's substantial.
I mean,
so
why? Yeah, why? Once again, where are you going? Like, This is really the first. I think last game was the first game we've been a whole, other than Stu.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've had Monty Morris is back, Cade is back.
Yep.
Or maybe it was tonight because Cade didn't play last game. So this is probably the closest we've been to being home. We still not because Stu is still hurt. So once again, it's just like we haven't been whole all season. So at what point do we really evaluate what we have with a clear lens before we start doing other stuff? We just made a move around the edges.
Mm-hmm.
Which can be an impactful move, even if we don't keep those two.
Right.
Just having another shooter, maybe this will show us how well that will work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And then knowing that you had too many young guys anyway. Like you can't, like you do need veteran pieces and some of them do or don't fit or whatever. But the fact of the matter is coming in with a young team that's so dependent on everybody having to get minutes to develop. Like Bagley was needing minutes. Liv was needing minutes. Everybody was needing minutes. And it just wasn't going to work. So, like, I'm okay with Gallo kind of coming in with short spots, even though he played really good tonight. Like, he knows his role. He knows, hey, I'm older. These guys are the priority. I know what time it is. So, I don't know. They're just in such a weird place. And it seemed like it was messed up from the get-go, honestly.
Yeah. I thought this was interesting, too. I'm so glad you said this, Jay Nicholas. Shout out to you because I actually had that in my notes for tonight. You can see Donovan encouraging Ivy post game. He can tell he is getting right. So like that actually, I'm so glad you said that, bro. I actually had this right here. I took a screenshot of this. Mm-hmm. This was a lot more friendly than it looked.
Right.
He was telling him like it looked like because he pounded his chest like before he walked away. Like he pounded Ivy's chest. Like come on, man. Like you can do this. Like it just seemed. I think Donovan sees a lot of himself in him. I think Donovan sees himself in Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
Similar play style, similar body type, being able to, first step, get to the cup whenever you want, jump out the gym, strong, pretty good shooter, improved shooter for Donovan Mitchell, right? Just pretty much all the measurables you want from a guard is what. Go ahead.
And that should mean a lot, too, for a young guard. I'm even looking at Monty's quote before the game where they asked him about Duren and Ivy making the Rising Stars. And he says – he didn't congratulate him. He's like, yeah, well, it could be confident for him. But if they didn't get it, it could be motivating. So they would just have to push through it. Bro, why don't you just say these guys worked hard? It's been tough for them. I'm proud of them. Congratulations. Like,
See that?
So those kind of talks with a guy like Donovan Mitchell, an all-star, a proven player, that's got to mean the world to him in a season like this.
Yeah, and see, you got to be careful too, because you don't want all of the positive reinforcements to be from everybody but your coach.
Facts.
You don't want to be where your players have more of a listening ear to opposing players and peers around the league than they do you.
Correct.
That's a dangerous place to be.
It is.
That's how you lose a locker room.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So to your point, and this is kind of my thing. I don't know if this is an Ivy thing again, or like what is this? What is this? As much as I hear people love him as a coach, the things that I've seen since he's been here, it's like, what's to love, bro? Like, and I know it's early. I know it's early, but just the early results, just the early results, bro. It just if he wasn't Monty Williams, right,
Mm-hmm.
and he was somebody else, he was an Adrian Griffin type of coach,
right,
that didn't have the resume,
mm-hmm.
right, and all this is happening, and Jaden Ivey is not playing, and Killian Hayes is playing 30 minutes, and we're on a 27 game. Adrian Griffin just got fired for being 30 and 13.
That still blows my mind.
Like, you think if he was here, he'd be here? You think he'd still be here? If
no way,
bro,
no way.
I think it's just the name and the owner that hired the name.
Right.
That's the only reason I think that he's being given so much rope, because of the money, obviously, in the years, but just because of who's in charge.
Because you see good teams, like you just said, man. Milwaukee they're doing just fine. They still sit as one of the powerhouses in the East, and they say, you know what? We're still not satisfied. You got to go. The Pistons are sitting up here acting like they they do have time, but they're due now at a point where they got to do a rebuild within a rebuild, and that's
right.
that's sad to have to go through, because we have faith in this core. I love Ivy. Cade is a fantastic talent. Duran's got to step up a little bit more. I want to see more out of his motor and his discipline as a defender. And Asar, if he ever gets a consistent role instead of just standing in the corner and jacking up shots that he's not comfortable with, there is talent in something that you can mold with this team. It just doesn't seem like they have the right pieces or the right person to push those pieces right now.
Yeah. I do think too. Let's get to this first. Somebody mentioned this. These guys fought harder for Casey than they do Monty. What do you think about that? I thought that was pretty interesting. I feel like early on this season, that was definitely the case. I feel like now it's starting to kind of level out, because it's like I feel like we're losing games. We're not getting blown off the floor like we used to, first of all.
Right.
But the mistakes that we're making, or the errors that we're making, it seems like they're more just mental instead of just effort across the board. Right. Across the board. There's still players, like you mentioned, Duran, that you got to be consistent. But it seems like now it's just still learning in defensive mistakes as opposed to just competing in effort. So I don't think now it's probably about level, but beginning of the year, 100%. 100%. What do you think?
I'd agree with that. And even looking at like the talent like shakeup right now, I think Casey's teams weren't as talented as they are now, because with this team being terrible, there's still talent on the team, like I just spoke to. Like, I like what Monty Morris has brought to this team. Bojan still has value. When Burks isn't playing like a AAU player, like, he's still a good player at times. But I can't really argue and say they're not playing harder. It seems like they're definitely a little more. They were more motivated last season with Casey. It seems like he wasn't standing in his own way. He was all for, all right, let's get these young dudes in here and try to grow at whatever rate we can.
That's
Monty
true.
is just out here just doing whatever he feels like is right. And I don't get it at all right now. I really don't.
That's what's so puzzling, bro. Like, this would make perfect sense if he was on a 2-year deal.
Right.
It's easy to cut bait.
Absolutely.
If he's not performing. You're in a 6-year, $78 million deal. Why are you playing veterans?
or the worst team in the league, bro. Like, I don't see it. I don't see another state division. I like that comment. I really do. Because Casey got a bad rap when he got let go. Oh, finally get him out of here. Now it's kind of looking like, hey, if this is what we was going to get, might as well would just roll with him at this point. Like, this is just too much.
I mean, save a lot of money. I mean, was 70. I'm not going to do that. I try to stay away from ever getting in somebody else's pockets, so I'm not going to do that. I'm glad he got his money. Kudos to you on that tip, but whatever.
He talked about his pocket, so we can talk about it. He said
You
signed
know
up
what?
for the pocket, so we
You
can
got
talk
a
about
point.
it.
That's a great
He
point.
opened the door for us. Yep.
Hey man, refund everybody LCA for this season. It won't hurt you at all. It won't.
Exactly.
It's like a drop in the bucket.
Facts.
Go ahead,
Exactly.
give us that money back.
We'll take that
I'm just playing. Yeah, it looks like the chat too, bro. Everybody is in here. It's people are not rolling with Monty Williams, man. I rather these young core grow in their roles and loot. Yes, then for them to develop bad habits under our vets, and yes, because the thing too, like if you don't have the right kind of vets around, like just because you're a vet doesn't mean you're going to be a good influence. You could be a talented vet with terrible habits, and that's why you go from the Hornets to the Wizards, because good teams are not trying to get you.
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so with the vets, bro, it's just like our vets are okay, but I think that is a great comment because you can develop bad habits under vets that are not good vets.
Right.
And so that's a great point by Avery. And yeah, like we said, like I don't care how much. Not once it's pretty. At this point, it's pretty safe to say that we're not going to have the worst record ever. We got to go basically 4-31.
Right.
To avoid that. I did the math earlier. I think the way we're playing now, we're better than 4-31 now. So like since we're not gonna approach that, let them make mistakes. Let them win, let them win some games by accident. You know what I'm saying? Like let them win some games on effort and they turn the ball over 15 times and still win because they, like let them go through that.
I feel like I said, last offseason, I think they really dodged a big opportunity. I feel like I know a lot of people weren't high on overpaying some of the free agents, but when you have a team and your veterans are Bojan and Monty Morris, they're limited players, so they can only teach and help these young guys so much.
Right.
Like I really wanted, I liked Harrison Barnes a lot. I know he's not a flashy player. I know he's not like anyone to build a team around, nothing like that. But I feel like he has a lot to offer for a guy like Asar Thompson who's learning about being a complimentary scorer, which is what Barnes has been his whole career. I really wanted Cam Johnson, younger player, still a little bit inexperienced, but he checks off the boxes for a lot of things that this team needed and ignored throughout the offseason. You stepping in with a guy like Bojan who's getting hunted out late games in one-on-one situations constantly. Like you can only do so much with that. The front court has no veteran experience, especially before this trade just got here. So like they just really set these guys up to fail, man. If these were the vets that you had for this kind of a young team, it's again, it's setting them up to fail, and we're seeing it happen in real time.
In real time, yeah. If you were Troy Weaver at this point, in lieu of the point you just made, because we were talking earlier about it, what's the point of even making a trade at this point? Do you make a trade? And if so, like for veteran leadership, we just got some. It's not it's veteran leadership. But do you make a trade for that with a more accomplished player that may have the ear of the players, or do you just stand pat, see what you have, and then wait for the offseason to go fishing?
I honestly feel like Troy's job depends on this trade deadline. And you know what? Actually, I don't even think that's true because he seems just as reserved and calm as Monty and Gores. All three of them seem fine with just letting this ride out so they can hit reset in the offseason. So for me, if I'm a good team, if I'm a properly functioning team, the trade deadline should be mandatory. You should have made 2 trades already, to be honest with you. You don't sit on a 28-game league record-setting losing streak and just say, we'll figure it out. Wait for Monty Morris. No, bro. Do something. Do something real now. And it can't be a panic move. It has to be something that makes sense. But unfortunately, they haven't done a whole lot of that makes sense. So it's kind of a lose-lose, unfortunately. I feel like they need to make a move. I don't think they're in a position where they can just wait. But unfortunately, I feel like a lot of trust from the fan base for sure has been lost based on how they moved thus far. It doesn't seem like they're in any kind of rush to really make these necessary moves. And it's frustrating to hear Like I just read James Edwards' piece in The Athletic saying, they seem like they're going to be content with just waiting. Like that is so alarming and insulting to the fan base, bro.
Yeah. I just don't know what move you can make that will definitively improve your team going forward. Like I just don't know. I understand what you're saying. The record is a record and there's no way around that. But it's kind of like for me at this point, it's like the record is setting something of value on fire, and making a trade is just putting it out.
Right.
But the damage is still done, and you're not gonna fix anything this season.
Nope.
And that's unless you feel, like I said, unless you feel you like the move you make is going to definitively help your team long term, like on the court and in the locker room as far as growing these guys up. Unless you have that at a reasonable price, I don't see what the point is. Like I don't really see what that would accomplish other than 5-6 more wins and a little bit better morale. I still think the fan base is still going to be in that same place of not trusting.
Right.
Because they're going to be like, okay, well, they're going to need to see consecutive moves at this point for them to start trusting. So it's just like I just don't know, man. Like I wouldn't be happy. I'm not happy either way. First of all, I know none of us are. You not. I'm not. We all mad. But I think at this point, I don't even know if a trade will make me, like a Zach LaVine trade. That wouldn't make me happy because they're already asking for Bogey and a blue chip player, which is Asar or JD or Jaden.
Right.
And sorry, I'm not doing that. And that contract is ugly. So he's not a veteran. So I don't know what move you make with 35 games left in the season that's going to dramatically improve your team on and off the court to where it's worth it. I don't know. That's just me.
Like you said, at this point, speaking to LaVine specifically, I like him as a player. I do think he does have value. People say he's not a winning player. I don't agree with that. I do think he's a very good player. But at this point, and given the makeup of the roster, he's not lifting this team up that much higher. And you don't need to be making trades. Like Siakam's name was pitched out. Like, Pistons will be one of the suitors. They shouldn't be because he's not coming back. And if you're getting a guy like LaVine, the last thing you want is, if you're doing a trade, period, you don't want a guy that's going to be leaving in a year, and you also don't want to be tied down to bad money that's not going to age well over time. And I feel like that's what LaVine's contract is going to be, given his injuries, given his skill set. And I don't know if any other Pistons fans peeped this. Through the first couple of years of Cade's career, they didn't like each other at all on the court. Right. They chirped a lot. They always had beef on the court. I scouted that out for a while. So
that's funny you say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of really any of the options that I've heard them talk about with the Pistons. Like I don't see any.
Yeah, the Siakam trade. Yeah, the Siakam trade you mentioned. Like to me, it's like as far as impact, if they would have made that trade with the team being good, it could be a Rasheed Wallace type of trade. Them making it now makes it a Blake Griffin type of trade.
Exactly.
Like it makes absolutely no sense to go get a guy that caliber, pay that much money for a guy that caliber right now. You're literally just wrecking your whole timeline. Literally. Like it makes absolutely no sense. Like you think about Rasheed Wallace, he was at the, like to your point about not wanting to sign an expiring contract. He was at the end of his contract.
Right.
But guess why he stayed? Because we were winning. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Blake Griffin didn't move the needle because our team wasn't good.
Right.
Great player, even though he was diminished, still a great player, but he didn't move the needle at all to set us back. Yep. I think we had to use a stretch provision on him to pay him or something crazy for years out in advance, like he had to do with Josh Smith. Craziness. But anyway, to your point, that's Pascal Siakam. No, we're not there yet. If we were a second round exit type of team every year, playoffs, then okay, we can push our chips to the table and say, let's see if we can make a push for a run for a few years. But now makes absolutely no sense. And that's kind of why I'm just like, let's just, as painful as this might be, let's see. I want to see everything about our team. I want to know all there is to know about our core guys and who we have. I want to see how they handle adversity. I want to see how they step up to the challenge. If I know them at their worst, I know for sure I want to keep those guys around, and now I'm definitely ready to build around. Like I think this period of time it can show you who you have,
Right.
not just what you have, but who you have. You know what I mean? So that's why I think it might be better to just see what you have in its totality instead of maybe masking that by adding somebody to the team,
Right.
making it temporarily better, but long term not doing anything. You know?
The biggest improvement that they can see that's going to make this franchise any better is the internal improvement. It's going to be Cade continuing to take his game up another notch. Ivy getting an increased role, taking his game up another notch. Duren staying out of foul trouble. Asar getting more minutes. That's the only thing that's going to help. Even if they do make a move, which I could see Bogey or I almost said Asar. Excuse me. I could see Bogey or Burks being moved before next week. But if you do, you're not going to be getting, like you said, you're not going to get a top-of-the-line two-way guy that's going to be here for the next 4 years. You're already setting yourself up for moving those guys for a pick and maybe a marginal player at best. Yep. It's not going to be anything that's going to, tip the scale of competition for this team for the next several years. You already screwed that up. It's only going to come if Monty gets out of his own way and we see the growth within this core forward that we expected to see earlier in the season.
Right. Exactly, bro. Yeah, well said, man. I'm with Pepe. Stand pat and get aggressive in the offseason. That's just me. I honestly I'm trying to find reasons to really stay all the way plugged in, and that's my biggest reason for watching right now. Is I hope everybody stays healthy. If we have injuries, it's gonna be hard for me to watch because it's not gonna be anything that is getting accomplished. Like if we have injuries to any of our core guys. That's the kind of thing that will make it hard to watch. But if we're because even tonight we didn't win this game, but I'm seeing incremental growth, even with rotations, with effort, with guys knowing where to be. The plays on offense look smoother. They don't look as jagged. Defensively, I'm not seeing back doors and guys going like this all game. Like it seems like they slowly are beginning to understand and some things are clicking. And if that's all we see for the rest of the year, just that incremental growth, that's I'll be content with that.
Absolutely, because we were sitting up here like to start the year, a big problem, like you said, they were one of the worst teams in terms of fouls. Now, when these fouls are getting called, like I spoke to earlier, it just seems like refs are just calling BS at this point. Like dribbling the ball as fast as you can and running into a player and flipping your head back is not basketball. That's not a foul, and these refs are falling for it every single time. So I give Cade his credit. I'm going to give Asar his credit. He's gotten a lot better at that. Ivy's doing a lot better at that in his rotation, their communication. They're not playing the same lazy, just, undisciplined basketball that we see the dude on Twitter ripping apart every day, every time they do something.
Yeah, he be going in too.
Monty Williams, $78 million. That dude was hilarious.
Yeah, like when I just hear Stan Van Gundy screaming whenever
that's his son. He in his G pool somewhere, bro. That dude is kicks, I swear.
Yeah, but no, it's a fair point, man. Fair point, bro. It's it's somebody said they missed the Dig Bay.
No, you don't.
You know what? Well, I'll say this. Because he's not. It's not like he just went to Atlanta. He just set the world on fire.
Right.
I think he's been better than what we have.
That's a fact. I was fine with I was fine with them trading him, and he's definitely suiting a better role right now. He's doing great with his catch and shoot opportunities, but he wasn't doing that in Detroit. So I was fine with him leaving. Everybody just hated what they got in return. Dude ain't even playing right now. So
yeah. I will say this. I felt like year one was his best year because that was when he set the record for three. He broke Joe D's record for 3-pointers in the season for rookies.
Yeah,
I felt like then he was, but I felt like the trajectory didn't really. It didn't. I didn't see much incline. It kind of just felt like he just kind of this is who I am. This is who I am.
Yep.
And that's cool. I thought he'd be a lot more than that, but I mean, in hindsight. Which is, we all know it's 2020, but looking back, I mean, we're not getting James Wiseman can't even get off the bench for Muscala or Gallinari, who just got here.
Bruh.
They just got, and neither one of those guys are great defensively at all. Right. Well, Muscala is below average. At this point, Gallinari is terrible. But because they can both shoot the ball,
Right.
And because Wiseman isn't a great defender either,
Right.
it's like, so yeah, man, that's the only thing with that trade. Like I understand, well, I don't understand why we made the trade, but it helps that Sadiq Bey is not just like this perennial all-star, but it ain't like Wiseman is making me happy about it either. So
Not at all. He was added as he's basically one of the same problems that we had for a lot of other guys on this team. Like Wiseman plays too similar to the other two bigs.
right.
He's not a shooter like Bagley and Dern. He clogs the paint just like those other two. And then even if you look at the guards, they all kind of play that same game too. A lot of them shoot from mid-range. They can get to the paint, but they're not proven distant shooters either. So, like a lot of these guys that Troy was bringing in and trading for or bringing in, they just doing the same thing. That's not really helping for the development of the other guys around, man. And that's really bringing things down, especially with somebody like Wiseman, who, again,
Right.
not even getting off the bench at this point.
Right. Yeah. Like I mentioned it earlier. I think we've seen the last of James Wiseman as a Detroit Piston.
Definitely.
I don't see any way. I mean, when Bagley got moved, who is not a carbon copy, cookie cutter of Wiseman, but very similar, that kind of told me a lot when he got moved. Everybody was like, why did he get moved and not Wiseman? I just said, wait a minute, just hold on. Just wait.
Right.
Just wait. You know what I'm saying? And so it's telling for me that he can't even get off the bench.
Right.
That's not a good look. Also, I wanted to ask you this too. This is something that's been popping up for a while now. Cade is a bucket. I still want to see him play small forward because it is night and day between him and Ivy when Ivy is running the offense. I'd rather Cade focus on being the best two-way player he can be. So I have mixed thoughts on that, but I wanted to see what you thought first, and I'll chime in my thoughts. If you haven't, if you don't, I can go.
Yeah,
no big deal.
I definitely do. I'm trying to put them together the right way.
Okay.
I feel like I understand why people say that. 6'7", big body player Cade is. Even if he did play small forward, that would be an advantage for him. But I don't think that's necessary. I really don't, especially when I don't think he's proven as a shooter enough yet, and he's their best playmaker and passer still, I believe. I think he still gets a good role with Dern in their pick and roll sets when they have spacing around them. I feel like that plays. Now, if you want to work with Cade in certain increments as a small forward, fine. You want to stagger around and, use Ivy as your point for a little bit in certain stretches, maybe bring in Burks. I can see that. I can live with that. But I've seen people have this conversation like, hey, play him full time. Nah, bro. I don't think that's his game at all. No. He's a good player. He started off as a small forward in high school. He transitioned very well in college. And I think, at this point as a pro, he makes passes for a young player that you just don't see. He does a very good job of anticipating. And I feel like there are ways that you could use him. Like, for me, I've been begging for this since last year. Put him in the post.
Yep.
That doesn't have to be a small forward move. You can easily just take him off, let him rotate along the baseline, and then post up in front of Ivy or whoever else and get the ball on the block. That'll get him to the free throw line. That'll put the defenders on their heels. It'll take his turnovers down.
Right.
When he gets ripped up, it's at the top of the key when he's dribbling too much.
Exactly.
Put him close to the hoop. You solve for that. I don't think you need to play him as small forward, but there are other ways you can use him to get the value out for him and other guards.
I like that. This de facto heliocentric point guard stuff, nah.
No.
I'm not with that. I feel like you can use them together. I think they can both mix and match the same way Joe D and Isaiah did. It's a different game now, I understand. But I mean, as far as having two capable guards, I will say this. I think because Jaden is more raw. Cade is more polished.
Right.
NBA player. I think I will say because of Jaden's measurables, his ceiling is quite high. High. Right? His athletic ability. I think Cade is ahead of him right now, but I think Jaden has a chance to really catch up. And I think when it comes to learning the offense, I think that's when we'll see that balance start to come into effect as far as who has the ball in their hands more. I think Jaden is going to eventually have more and more and more responsibility playing with the ball in his hands to a point like 40-60, maybe even 50-50, right? And I that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see unpredictability on offense.
Yes.
I don't want to see, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing that the Pistons used to do all the time. You know what I mean? That's what Joe D used to do with Isaiah. It's unpredictability and ball movement. But you made a great point about the post, because that's what Big Brother used to do. That's Big
Right.
Brother's game.
Right.
Like Cannon was actually the one who initiated Cade moving to point guard because of his vision,
Right.
because of his ability to see the floor and
Mhm.
not get sped up. Right. And that's when they started working with Ashton on his ball handling and all that.
Mhm.
But that was, like you said, that was later in the game. That was later in the game. Right. But I think you make a great point. It's like there are ways to get him closer to the basket to make him more effective, but it doesn't have to be this way or this way all the time. I don't like that. Like people keep saying Luka Doncic, no, bro, they're not the same. Just because they're both 6'7", and just because they both have, like, they're not the same guy. It's not the same player. It's not even the same offense.
I hated that comp when it came out of
college. I did too. And I know Cade loves him as a player, and I do too, but they're different.
Yes.
They're different types of players. So that's what I want to see. I want to see Cade kind of slowly giving some of the keys to Ivy to allow him, once the trust is there, that he's not going to turn the ball over and he's going to get you a good shot. I think once Jaden has that trust developed within his teammates and the coaches, that's when you're going to see him with the ball in his hands a lot more. But I think that's his biggest thing, is just decision making, right? And knowing what decision to make off of an action. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a big thing for him. You can run a set. Okay, yeah, fine. But what are you going to do now when this breaks down? What's your secondary option? What's your secondary action? Things like that. I think once he understands those things, that's when he's going to make that jump. And that's when you're going to see that kind of balance out between who has the ball in their hands win.
And we thought we would see a lot more of a glimpse with that, with Monty holding the clipboard, with this whole 0.5 offense and whatnot. All we're seeing is the same offense that he was doing when Dwayne Casey was here. Cade brings the ball up court. He dribbles for a few seconds. He'll maybe get a screen, pull it back, give it to Bojan, or when Killian was starting, throw it to Killian. Then they throw it right back to Cade.
Yeah,
and he's scrambling around trying to find a shot. Like, that is the worst kind of offense to use, bro. He's way more valuable than that. Like, you can use creative sets. Again, you want to take him off the ball. You don't want him to bring the ball up and initiate the offense off top. Fine. I'm totally fine making that adjustment, especially with how comfortable and quick Jaden Ivey picked up the ability to be a primary decision maker with the basketball. Like, when he showed that you could do that, you should have said, okay, cool. We can find some creative sets to make this backcourt work. And it has. But they just don't try it enough. It just seems like Monty just sitting away like, all right, y'all got it. He literally looks like he's just watching them play the game. Like, no, call a set, tell him to screen off, like, use things to just get them the ball in different areas. It don't always be ISOs at the top of the key, because they keep getting in trouble like that.
Yes, that's where the turnovers happen.
Yes,
and it happens over and over and over and over again, bro. Like, this is me and King always talk about this. Where is this 0.5 offense? We've been talking about that. At least with Casey, they ran DHOs every now and then. Like,
bro, I've been tweeting it. Is it even real? Who has seen anything of a 0.5 offense? It's not real as far as I'm concerned, honestly.
The legend of the 0.5 offense.
Tell me, bro, what is real about this offense? We ain't seen it. We have not seen it yet.
Yeah, I might have to go look up some Phoenix Suns footage from the last few seasons just to see if it actually exists, because I haven't seen. I've been looking for it.
No,
I haven't seen any semblance of it yet.
No.
So, and I'm not looking for half second. Like, no, I'm not even. No, like, it's the idea, it's the principle, the principality of it, of what it means. It's keeping the ball hot. But I'm not even seeing the ball move.
Nope. You're not seeing the ball move. You're not seeing players move. You're seeing guys just standing in the corner. Like, it's the same type of stuff. Like, it's just lazy. It looks like just lazy AAU basketball, bro. Honestly, I'm so tired of seeing it from what we were expecting to see heading into this season.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know, man. This has been. I'm just waiting for that game. I thought this was going to be the game that I haven't seen in months, where the Pistons in a nail biter on the road, quality opponent, get the win.
Mm-hmm.
This was the night to go get that game.
It was right there.
I don't think they've had that all year. A quality win against a quality opponent on the road, nail biter in a close situation.
And it's so frustrating because how did the season start? You just played the Miami Heat, the defending Eastern Conference champs at this point, and they took them to the wire. We're saying, oh, this is what they're going to be doing? Oh, they're going to take off by the midway point. They're doing the same damn thing and making the same damn mistakes from the start of the season. If anything, it looked like it got worse as the season progressed on.
Bro, you're speaking. That is why it's so puzzling. It literally felt like after those first couple games, somebody said, "Okay, I need y'all to suck for a while."
Right.
Like, not even throwing shade at the team. It was just such a disparity between what I saw those first 2 games and what you saw those first 2 games.
Yeah.
I was so hyped when we lost to Miami by 1. Mm-hmm. I'm like, we going to wire to wire first game of the season with these cats already? Oh, we good. We lost, but we good.
Yep.
And the next game, I think we beat the Hornets, I think.
Yep.
And it was just like, oh, wow. Okay, this wasn't like the Lions. This wasn't a fluke. This is okay. They came, okay, this is something that can really be just, basically sustained. And so, but it just looked like the effort was there. Like K was going at Jimmy buckets, bodying him, dropping, laying it up off the glass, letting the ball bounce off his head at Jimmy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they just look like, yeah, we here. And then all of a sudden, it just, I don't know what happened, bro. I don't know what happened after that.
We're literally seeing deja vu right now. Because if you remember back to last season, what was the best game they played last season? The home opener against Orlando. What's the best game they played this season? The home opener against Chicago. Wow. I don't know what it is about them blowing a rocket off in the first home game, but bruh, because Monty saw all season, this team doesn't withstand adversity well. Bruh, they survived 52 points from Zach LaVine in that game and won. How do y'all just drop off a cliff after something like that?
Yeah, how do you go from man, that's a great point, bro. I never even thought about that. He did drop 52 that game, didn't he?
Yeah, I went to both games. I was a fan in the Orlando game. I was sitting there watching, they about to be on, and then K gets hurt and go backwards. Same thing here. I'm in the press room working it, and I'm saying, oh, wow, they really got something. If they cook off like this at home, they really going to be something. And it just tailed off after that. And I still can't understand why. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know either, bro. It's one of the weirdest things. It's almost like, to me, just the way it played out, it's almost like Monty Williams is like, okay, how do you guys play? Mm-hmm. Oh, you play like that? Oh, no, we're going to play this way. We're scrapping that. We're going to play this way.
Right.
That's kind of what it felt like. Like they played away, and then they won for a few games, and then Monty evaluated it and said, oh, that's cool, but this is what we're going to do.
Right.
And because I don't know any other explanation, because the way they just fell off after that, they didn't look like the same team. So I don't know. Who knows, man? But I like this question as well. That's a great question.
No, he hasn't. I don't believe he has, though. And outside of technical foul, dog don't know how to use challenges. How do you see your guard get smacked and bleeding, and then you don't even bother? Like, even the foul they called on Cade, where I forgot who shot. I think it was a Okoro or a Garland, but they shoot a 3, and they review it for like a flagrant because they say he's landing in the landing spot. Bro, Cade did not touch dog. He shoots the ball and he falls, and you just sit there. Like, we'll see him react. He'll throw his hands up. He'll be like, oh, I can't believe it. Bro, challenge it.
Yeah.
Like, fight for your team. Like that.
Yeah.
I hate to switch sports, but for me, I'm a Lions supporter as well. One of the biggest things that bothered me about Jim Caldwell when he was the Lions coach was how little he fought for his team when they got screwed in that Seattle game, in the Monday Night Football game, and he gaslit his team for putting themselves in that situation. I hated Caldwell for that. When they got screwed over in the Dallas playoff game, and he gaslit his team saying, we can't put ourselves in that situation. Dog, fight for your team. At least act like you care.
Right.
Like, at least, like, what about, I'm going on a tangent going crazy, but I remember anyone who seen Mr. 3000 with Bernie Mac. You see Mr. 3000 with Bernie Mac?
No.
The coach at the end, so Bernie Mac, he gets called out on a play, but his coach had beef with him the whole time. just to show he had his back and rode for him. The coach comes out, cusses out the umpire, flips stuff around, just to show that he has his team's back. That does wonders for, especially a young team. Monty don't seem to have that fight at all, bro. Even if it just seems like you're wrong, just show that you cared. And it don't even seem like he's trying to put up that kind of fight, man. It's crazy.
That's what you said about just even if you don't care, just act like there have been times I actually I forgot who said this, but I read it on an old NBA documentary. There were times when, I'm gonna post it in here. There were times when coaches would see their star player barking at an official because of a bad call, and immediately insert themselves into the situation and get it, and they would get a tech. The coach would get a tech.
Right.
He would see his player going crazy, his star player going crazy, and he would insert himself in and get the tech, protecting his player.
Absolutely.
And the player would walk away. The coach getting a tech can make your player calm, at least calmer.
Yes.
Because now they see, okay, coach got my back, whatever. Forget y'all, whatever. Just knowing that your coach has your back, like you said, goes a long way, man. And I don't see. It bothered me the last two seasons. How I felt like Dwayne Casey wasn't vocal enough. I felt like Dwayne Casey didn't get upset enough. To go from that to this is we going backwards in that aspect.
I argue with my homeboy about this a lot. I ain't gonna say his name. Well, yes, I am. Shout out Ricky. He used to ask me all the time, man, because we were saying this for the longest. Cade is just not getting the calls. Cade is not getting the respect he deserves. Cade is not getting the treatment that she should when he's playing the game, when he's getting this contact. And some fans, including my boy, he would literally say, oh, why is Cade always crying? Why is Cade always having his hands up with the refs? Why is he always going at it? Because his coach is not fighting for him.
Right.
That's why.
Right.
I'm not mad at him. If my coach ain't gonna fight for me, Casey gonna sit here and be quiet. Monty gonna sit here with his hands under his butt. Fine, I'm a raise hell. I'll do something. If y'all ain't gonna do something, I'll do it on my own.
Yeah.
So I never held that against Cade. I didn't look at that him being immature or being a crybaby. He's fighting because his coaches won't fight for him. And that says a lot to me when you see that on the bench, honestly.
And unfortunately, that after the player does that and they realize that they had to do that, it doesn't make them feel the greatest about their coach.
Right.
To be honest.
For real.
Why did I have to do that? Why did I have to? You know what I'm saying?
It's not like a situation like with Rasheed, who's constantly just popping off just to pop off. The coach would try to reel him in. Larry Brown would always scream at the officials and say, what are you looking at? That's not right. He didn't do this. You tripping. The team would step in and help him. This is the complete opposite of that, bro.
That's a great point, bro.
The players sit up there. You see it with earlier in the season with Asar or Duran. They constantly doing this, saying, hey, let's take a look, coach. Nah, let me just sit in the challenge. Bro, just try. You don't get to carry challenges over to the next game, bro.
Yeah.
Fight for your team. Please.
Yeah. No, that's the point about Larry Brown is well taken. Because that's why he was the perfect coach for that team, because he understood his personnel. He understood his players too.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He understood how to control all those guys. Now to their credit, they were a veteran group. And I think that helps. But she didn't show that he was a veteran by how he acted with officials. So that doesn't even matter.
Right.
So you're right. To your point, you have to show, because that's going to make them fight for you on the court.
Exactly.
It's all cyclical. That's why I don't understand why he's not showing that on the court. It's one thing to say in the locker room, they're not. No, man, you got to show them. You got to show them the heat of the moment. That's your way. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it is real quick. It's just adding to those bad defensive habits, because now you see it. Cade is scared to get a foul call on him. He's just backing up with his hands up, saying, "Please don't call nothing on me." And then these guys are just getting easy lays over him, because he's not trying to get a call, and that adds to those bad habits that they're trying to break right now. It's crazy. Right. No, you're right. And Johnny, Ivy gets headbutted and got his lip busted and got fouled on top of that. And the very next play down, so everybody knows that there are payback calls in the NBA, whether right or wrong. Right.
If a missed call here, a lot of time you see the egregious call down here. Very next time down court, beep, back the other way. We're giving it back to y'all. Now, it may not be right, but it is what it is. Unspoken rule, right? So, like,
Yep.
with this, the very next play after Ivy got headbutted and was bleeding, Donovan Mitchell, once again, very next play, comes down, drives down the court. Ivy like this, hands straight up, moving his feet. His hands are vertical.
Yep.
They call a foul again.
Yep.
You couldn't even give him a no call. It wasn't a foul to begin with.
Nope.
They called another foul on him after calling a foul on him for getting his lip busted.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like there is no respect at all. It's not even about we on the road. Like he got his lip busted. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's like, all right, we gotta balance this out a little bit. We missed out. Nothing. And to his credit, he didn't flip at all.
Nah, he was very reserved.
I know like he was mad. You could see he was angry. He went and got fixed up, but he wasn't barking. He wasn't throwing stuff. He wasn't getting ejected. He wasn't getting even a technical. He didn't get a technical.
Mm-hmm.
Drew blood, no tech. So on top of that, to not have your coach fight for you just makes it that much worse.
He spoke on it before. Like I've seen Monty in the back, like in the press after a game, in the post game. He'll talk about it. It was when they played the Bucks, I think it was. Like they're in afternoon games where I think Giannis and Dame went to the line like 20 times in that game or something.
Yeah.
He spoke on it, but he was very, very soft-spoken. One of my favorite highlights of this whole NBA season was the Toronto coach where he called Scotty Barnes the future face of the league, but he also said he's like cussing and going crazy. Like, bro, how is this allowed? How are you sitting here watching Scotty get bumped like this and my players bleeding and getting bumped around and they only go into the free throw line 10 times? Like at a certain point, bro, you got to flip some tables. You got to throw some paper. Eat that fine, bro. Anthony Edwards did the same thing. So I don't care, bro. I'll eat the fine. I don't care. These refs don't know what they're looking at and they costing us games. They need to get it together. He said, I'll eat the fine. I don't care. Like something has to change, bro, to show that you truly have the players back, because it seems like, at least from our point of view, that it's questionable, and it shouldn't be questionable.
It just don't seem like it. Like I'm gonna just say it just don't seem like, it's questionable. It's not obvious. It don't look like it straight up. It just doesn't. He's had ample opportunities to, and we're not saying like get ejected. We're not saying get fined $100,000. Just show you care.
Right.
And that shout out to Jay Nicholas. He was saying the same exact thing you were saying. Like if it comes to a point where it just needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? And I think that point, we're way past that point. But, I don't know, man. There is no aspect of this team that I'm happy about right now.
No.
It's just they're players, sure, yeah. But, I mean,
we were able to get by on, like, the breakout games by Cade. Like, we seen him, pop off for, the first few years. We seen him drop 40 pieces finally. We see him get to the free throw line. But in the middle of a 28-game losing streak and blowing all these fourth quarter leads, like, I can't even be happy about that. Like, to me, I'm still waiting for that, like, one signature game from Cade where he's taking over in the fourth and he's just undeniable. Or I'm looking for that game where, Ivy's opposing his will, or, Duren is locking down the paint and it's translating into wins. Because at this point, we've seen the pop-off games. We've seen the numbers look good. We've seen the flash plays. We've seen highlights. It don't mean nothing if y'all not winning at this point. Like, it's no value in that anymore with this young team.
Absolutely. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of his performances this season are gonna get lost.
Right.
They just are. His 40-point game that he had this year's career high. I mean, he probably does not even want to remember that. You know what I'm saying? Because of what happened. It's because that's associated with, oh yeah, you got that when you were under 20. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want that attached to you. So even he can't enjoy something like that. That's why it's like, you score 49 points in the first quarter and you lose the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like as a team, it's just so many things, so many gut punches we've taken this year as a fan base, as by the way, congrats to my man Eric here. He's now an affiliate and the beat writer for Clutch Points, y'all. Shout out to my dog. That's major, bro. Clutch Points is one of the biggest media outlets in sports. So that's major, bro. Just if you could, I wanted to ask you, like, just kind of walk us through that. Like, what's next for you? What's your next move?
Yeah, man. I'm trying to dethrone James Edwards III, man. I'm trying to trying to make my name out here.
Shout out James.
Yeah, shout out James Edwards. Yeah, man. I'm officially credentialed. I have been really all season. I was previously with Detroit Sports Nation. Recently just got hired with Clutch Points. I'm their full-time exclusive Detroit Pistons beat reporter. If you guys want to follow me on social media at I am Eric Vincent. I'll be at their practices. I'll be at every game, home game at least for now. Yeah, just trying to stay active, man. I'm trying to stay active and keep forth with it. I feel like the Pistons fan base is the best fan base in the world because not many fan bases can endure what this team is going through right now and still show up these kind of streams or still pop up in a Twitter space to listen to recaps about the team. So shout out to everybody that's listening, man. If y'all want to give me a follow, check me out on Clutch Points. I'm gonna give my feedback, turn in some good content for you guys, let you guys know that we still here riding and trying to do our best reporting and stay accurate with what's going on with the team, man. I really appreciate you guys supporting and being here, rocking with us.
And looking forward to being able to read some of your stuff when this team is winning.
Thanks.
Man. That's it's not always easy to write stories and write, when it's consistently L after L after L after L, as I'm sure you know. So
bro, you know how many times I had to Google lose its synonyms? I said they lost already. I said they got blew out already. How many other ways can I say this? It's tough, bro. It really is.
Yeah. But it's it's definitely a major congrats in order for you, bro. Wanted to shout you out real quick while I had you on here. Guys, and we appreciate you guys being here as well, man. Showing up and showing out per usual. Usually we have King here with us, but had to get my boy Eric on tonight. He was free for a quick minute, so we kind of want to just talk about the state of the Pistons and what's next. So, last question for you: do you think the Pistons will end with the worst record this season?
Like in NBA history?
No, just
throughout the
league.
This
season.
I don't. I don't even think on paper now. I don't think they're worse than the Wizards or the Hornets. I think those will be the worst teams, and I feel like they do have an ability to turn that around. I just feel like they play a lot more undisciplined basketball. They're very inconsistent. I mean, I don't see from top to bottom a Kay Cunningham led team with him playing at an all-star level, Ivy getting better game after game. I don't see this team finishing as the worst team in the NBA.
Right.
I mean, maybe it'll help court them some favor with the draft and the lottery, coming up. I don't know if they end up in this bottom 2, 3, or 1 and end up with the fifth pick again, I'm gonna lose my damn mind.
Oh, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm about to write some letters to Adam Silver, but I don't see it. Yeah, I don't think they'll finish as the worst team. I think they'll finish bottom 2, bottom 3, but I don't see them being the worst team in the NBA. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I also think they're better than those teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're only about 3 or 4 games back of the Spurs as well.
I got the Spurs on the slide too. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Johnny's putting us on right now. Yeah, so Spurs have 10. We have 6. The Spurs have 10, so we're 4 behind them, 3.5, whatever. And then the Wizards have 9. So yeah, I think we're gonna make up. We're better. I don't know if we're better than the Spurs because Wembanyama is just he just doesn't make sense and he can affect the game in so many ways. But
crazy.
And he was a little side note watching JD post game comments on him. Mm-hmm. Was the first time I saw JD like, yeah, that's tough. He was just like, man, he's so hard.
That triple double game was weird.
But yeah, so I think we may be able to catch them, but I definitely don't think we'll end with the worst record. We're 3 games back. I think the second half of this, I think we're the only team of that group that can make something of a run late in the season with a few 3-game winning streaks here and there. I think we're the team that's going to get better post All-Star break, catch a little rhythm. I think so I'm with you on that. I think we'll get to about 15. That's kind of what I'm saying. I think we'll go about 8 or 9 more wins. I think we're going to get hot late, and we'll get to that. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
The team has a bit of the respect. I mean, I remember when they lost to Boston a while ago. They said, like, yo, we know the elephant in the room is their record, but they play a lot harder than a lot of other teams in the league. So,
True.
again, when it comes down to organization, when it comes down to late game execution, they're not far away from being able to compete against these teams. We just saw it tonight. Cleveland's a legitimate team. So, as long as they kind of just iron out those ugly, young team mistakes, they're going to be able to push some teams over the edge. And I think it's coming sooner than people think. I really do.
I'm with you. It's more about execution and less about ability at this point.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm with you, bro. Yeah, man. All right. So we're gonna end it here. Shout out to everybody who popped in per usual. We're gonna be back next week per usual. Probably after a game like this, and we'll just catch up like we always do. I want to give a shout out to my boy Eric for popping in. Looking forward to reading more of your stuff. Y'all go follow him on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm Eric Vincent, I believe, on all platforms, right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
For sure. So we appreciate y'all coming through. And we'll see y'all in the next one. Service everybody.